In the heart of the Smoky Mountains stood Hollow Pines Lodge, a rustic retreat built in the 1960s that had served as a quiet escape for families, hikers, and hunters for decades. The lodge, made of heavy pine beams and stone fireplaces, was surrounded by dense forest, and in autumn its grounds glowed with shades of red, gold, and amber. For most visitors, Hollow Pines was a place of peace, but in the winter of 1997, it became the center of a mystery that shook the region and ended with a grim but decisive conclusion. The story begins with a group of 5 co-workers from Atlanta who booked a long weekend at the lodge to celebrate the end of a difficult project. The group consisted of 2 men and 3 women, all in their late 20s. They had chosen Hollow Pines because it was remote, affordable, and offered a chance to disconnect from the pressures of city life. On Friday evening, they checked in, hauling bags of groceries and cases of beer into their rented cabin. They were cheerful, snapping Polaroid photos and planning hikes for the following day. That night, a storm rolled in. Heavy snow fell across the mountains, coating the trees in white and cutting off some of the winding roads. By morning, the group was effectively snowed in. They made the best of it, cooking breakfast, playing board games, and laughing around the fire. Sometime after lunch, one of them, a man named David, suggested they take a short walk through the woods. The others hesitated, pointing out the worsening snow, but eventually 2 women, Claire and Jenna, agreed to join him. The 3 bundled up, left the cabin, and headed down a marked trail. According to Jenna and Claire, the walk started off uneventful. They followed the snowy path, tossing snowballs and admiring the quiet beauty of the forest. But after about an hour, they realized they had lost the trail. The storm had covered the markers, and every direction looked the same. David, who claimed he had a good sense of direction, led the way, but the snow grew heavier, the sky darkened, and visibility shrank. By late afternoon, panic set in. They stumbled through the forest until they finally spotted a hunting shack, abandoned but intact. They sheltered inside, building a fire from broken furniture and waiting for the storm to pass. Claire remembered David stepping outside to look for a better landmark. He promised to return quickly, but he never did. Hours passed, and when the snow stopped, Jenna and Claire tried to follow his tracks, but the wind had erased them. By morning, the 2 women managed to navigate back to the lodge, cold, exhausted, and terrified. David, however, was gone. The lodge staff immediately contacted local authorities, and a search and rescue operation began. Dozens of volunteers, trained dogs, and helicopters scoured the forest. The search lasted 5 days, covering miles of terrain, abandoned cabins, frozen streams, and steep ridges. Not a single trace of David was found, no footprints, no clothing, no signs of struggle. His disappearance became a local mystery. Rumors spread quickly. Some said David had planned to vanish, that he had debts or secrets he wanted to escape. Others whispered darker theories that he had fallen prey to something in the forest, wild animals or worse. The lodge developed an eerie reputation. Guests would ask to stay in the lost hiker's cabin, and staff reluctantly told the story of the man who had walked into the storm and never returned. For nearly 2 years, the case remained cold. Then, in the spring of 1999, a pair of hunters hiking deep into the backcountry stumbled upon something. In a ravine, partially covered by rocks and leaves, they found human remains. Nearby lay a torn jacket, a rusted pocket knife, and a watch still strapped to a skeletal wrist. Dental records later confirmed it was David. The coroner's report determined he had died of exposure. Likely disoriented by the storm, he had wandered miles off course, fallen into the ravine, and been unable to climb out. No foul play was detected. It was a tragic accident, the kind that happens all too often in the wilderness. For David's friends and family, the discovery was both heartbreaking and relieving. They finally had an answer. A memorial was held in Atlanta where stories of his life were shared, and his parents thanked the hunters who had stumbled upon him, saying closure was the only gift left to them. Hollow Pines Lodge eventually recovered its reputation, though the legend of the lost hiker still lingers in local lore. To this day, guides remind visitors to respect the mountains, to stay on marked trails, and to never underestimate the forest when weather turns against them. The tragedy of David's disappearance serves as a sobering reminder that nature is as unforgiving as it is beautiful. And though the mystery was solved and the ending was closed, those who knew him say that every winter storm in the Smoky Mountains carries with it a trace of David's story, echoing through the pines.